How's it going, everybody? Look, guys, I am very sorry. I'm gonna have to apologize for all you guys, the fans and the viewers that's been on my channel recently and lately. That I haven't really been posting anything for the past, I'm gonna have to say, going on 2 weeks. Well, that's because I have been going through a very traumatic experience with the family, and like, it has affected me to the point where not only that it has affected my channel and affected my focus on trying to push content out to the public so people can watch it, but the situation was so bad and so traumatizing to the point where it almost caused me to have a mental breakdown. Now, for those who have been following my channel and been watching my content since day one, most of you are probably aware that I've been on and off on my channel recently, past those times. I mean, I haven't been doing it now because I've been coming at it strong and I've been pushing content strong left and right. But I feel like the reason why I've been doing this is because I've been more focused on appealing and trying to get the right praise from the wrong crowd than the crowd that's ahead of me, and give me that same type of energy when it comes to me being dedicated and for me being devoted to my own content. When it comes to me being like focused to hard work and just pushing content and just trying to get my mind straight, I don't give myself enough credit. But that's because I be trying to appeal to certain people that it's hard to recognize what I'm doing. And that was the reason why I was a little bit discouraged a long while ago. Now, to be fair, one of those people, it was two people that I wanted to impress and wanted those two people to recognize my talent, my artwork, and not only that, but just to show them how much I mean to these people and how much I love them, to the point where I was willing to make a difference, for not just for myself, but just for other people as well when it comes to watching my content. And one of them was my mother. My mom, she was one of the people that did not really have no problems with what I was doing. She never really questioned like the motives that I took, as in like the path of me becoming successful and me just pushing my content out there. Because before I was a YouTuber, I had another passion, which was artwork, and it was going good to the point where I was beginning to become mainstream. I did a couple of stories, few novels, few comic books, and it was so good to the point where I was beginning to quit my job. And even though my mom gave me great praise, she gave me great like advice to keep going, do what you're doing, do what you're doing. Even though I had a fan base, even though I had people, like, even though it was small, but it wasn't really that, I wasn't really that impacted when it came to my mom giving me that praise. I don't know, like when it comes to your fans giving you love and your family giving you love, is two different types of energy. I think it's because when your fans give you love, you don't really know those people, but at the same time, you love the crowd, you love like the energy that they're giving you. But when your family is giving you that love and that energy, not only that you feel loved, but you feel accepted. You feel like all the hard labor and hard work is paying off. Now, this is when the derailing begins to happen. When I was beginning to show my mom this stuff, I was beginning to show another person the same material. I was trying to give the same person the same type of love that I was expressing to my mom, showing this person that all my stuff was beginning to pay off, but he was not really giving me that same praise. Not just because he wasn't into artwork, but 80% of the things that I was into, he was not into. He was into sports. I was not into sports. He was not into anime. I'm into anime. He's not really into movies. I'm into movies. Like, he's mostly like one of the high school jockey type people. He's fully grown, but at the same time, he was an outsider. I'm an insider. That, I'm gonna have to just say it like that. But at the same time, when it comes to people being different from other people, that's where the criticism and the backlash and the ridicule comes in. Now, normally I would ignore that stuff and I wouldn't let that stuff get to me, but this was a person that really affected me to the point where I was questioning myself. It's just something that I'm doing wrong. And there was times when I tried to shut down my daily activities, my daily hobbies, my artwork, and all my passions, just so I could impress him, just so he can give me that same love, but he would never show it. Like he would have a hard time he would have a hard time giving me his attention. He would act as if he was too busy, or what I was doing was a waste of time, and then there'll be more criticism and more ridicule involved. My mom was a person that would tell me, that would get me out of that loop. She would tell me to stop being somebody you're not and be more focused on what your potential is. She was a person that helped me blossom and bloom. So even though what she was saying was helping, I felt like she was the only person that mattered. She was the only person that gave me the devotion I needed for me to keep this up, because I was stuck into a collision course. I was a preteen, and at the same time, I was still trying to study what was it that I needed to do? What is it that I needed to publish? What is it that I need? What is it about me that is very special? So first was my artwork. My artwork, even though it did good, I've been through a lot of problems. Before I was beginning to quit my job because I was getting paid a decent amount of money with my artwork, I hired a few people to publish my artwork out there, and apparently I hired so many people to the point where my money wasn't going directly towards my account. So somebody was stealing my artworks, was stealing my pay. So when I went to court, the judge told me that it was so many people that I hired that they could not perform a background check to see who was getting paid directly. So I had to get rid of my artwork, had to get rid of them from all the websites so it could prevent the money to keep getting so the person can prevent being paid. And that kind of got me into a depression ratio, because I tried to publish my artwork again, but to those same websites, but they were saying that was not my material, even though it was my material. So I've quit artwork for a while, and my mom helped me get me back on my feet. She helped me she helped me all the way. She was telling me to keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And when I told her the story of why I stopped my artwork, she was helping me find another passion that I loved. And that was me trying to be a YouTuber. Now, when I was being a YouTuber, when I was becoming a YouTuber, I noticed my mom was very sick. My mom was going through a lot of problems with her body when it came to her health. And I tried to be there for her. I tried my best to show her certain things that she was telling me to do, and she was very proud of the stuff that I was doing. And eventually she passed away, and it got me into a point where I was not just impacted by her death, but my mind was lost. My mind was very traumatized to the point where I just did not know what to do. I did not know who else I should appeal to. I really felt like I didn't really have nowhere else to go, because she was a very great mother. She was a person that gave me the motivation that I need to help me boost my content out there. Because let's be real here. Now, even though I'm a very, very, very huge believer of God, I feel like that's not enough for you to understand how this life works, how do people interact with each other, and just understanding the energy of what's given to you when it comes to people's actions. You need to understand how people are when it comes to interacting with each other, knowing who to trust, know who not to trust, and just being away from all that craziness. And most importantly, try to have faith in yourself. That was my problem. My problem was me having faith on having people accept me, but I had a problem accepting who I was. After my mom died, it put me into a state where not only was losing my image, but at the same time, my soul was beginning to become deteriorated towards the actions that I was taking. I dyed my hair blonde. I was getting into all types of trouble. I was doing all types of drugs. I was doing so much stuff to myself to the point where it was killing me from the inside out. And I needed help. I needed help. I've given up on so much things about myself to the point where I felt like when my mom died, 90% of me died along with her that day. I gave up my artwork. I gave up being a YouTuber. And at that point, I just, it was to the point where I was more than just depressed. Like I was feeling like I did not matter anymore because I had nobody to look up to. I had nobody to give me that praise. Again, I had one other person, but at the same time, that person was not recognizing my image. He wanted me to be somebody that I wasn't, which was to diminish to diminish an image of my own to appeal to him. And my mom helped me realize that I was more than just a person to be somebody that I wasn't. She helped me find myself. And with her being dead and gone, I've lost myself all over again. At that point, I needed help. I needed guidance. And I found the right people. I went to the right counseling. And not only did it help me understand how life was, but at the same time, it gave me the strength and the motivation and dedication that I needed to be independent. I've been sharp ever since this happened. But at the same time, I was still going through the death of my mother. I was even in a relationship for a short while, and it ended so quickly. but that was because the female that I've dated, she has not dated in over 7 years. I've been dating frequently, on and off, so I kind of know how relationships fluid. I know how they all work, and I know the counterbalance of being right and being wrong, and knowing when to accept when changes need to be made. But with this person, she hardly dates. So at the same time, by her hardly dating, she don't know how to balance a relationship. She looks at the inside outs of how to fall in love and how to be intertwined with one another. And she believes that a problem is when we both go through like a financial problem, or when we're going through a situation that we can both come across. But she don't believe that a problem is us having a confrontation, us having an argument. She believes that if that happens, then it's a sign that we should not get together. That we should not be together. And when we had that one argument, which was nothing major, she ended up leaving me. It was not like I called her out her name. It's not like I have disrespected her or anything like that. We just had one simple debate about what was right and what was wrong, and then she just up and left me. Now, a part of me hated her for what she did, because I was still at the point of going through my mom's death. So at this point, I needed her the most. I needed somebody to be with me on me getting over that loop. So she pulled a selfish move and just left. She knew about my mom's death, but at one point, I did not blame her, because by me going through counseling and going through therapy, even the therapist says this: when people are not used to being in love and not being in relationships, they're not going to know how to balance it correctly. So by hearing that and knowing what she did, part of me hated her, but a part of me understood why she left, because she couldn't fully gravitate the situation that I was going through. She knew what I was going through, but she did not look at my side of things. You know what? He's going through things right now. I need to be there for him. That's why my little brother and his girlfriend, they go through a lot of things together, but at the same time, she still stays. She still stays with them, and they still stick with each other, because they know what complications is. They know how relationships work and how they intertwine with one another. A lot of people can learn from these type of relationships. That's why one of my goals is not only to be successful with my passion and my YouTube creativity and my artwork, but I also want to start a Black family of my own. Going through mental therapy and going through the counseling really did help me, to the point where I was beginning to devote myself into being independent, but at the same time, I felt like I needed to fix some shit that was still bothering me. For example, the other person that I mentioned a few minutes ago that I was trying to impress, and me and him had a very deep conversation, because at this point I was an adult, and I told him, while I was trying to get my YouTube channel up and ready and trying to boost my content again, I needed closure. And I told him how I really felt. I told him how I really felt about this person, him being my mentor, and what I tried to do when it came to me expressing myself and expressing my love towards him. And he was completely brokenhearted. And I think what really broke him was the point when I told him that he was one of the reasons why I tried to commit suicide, because there was one time where me and him was in a car, and it was not as if I've done anything wrong. It wasn't as if like I've done anything to upset him. One thing I noticed about him is that when he's angry, he's one of those people that takes it out on any person that's around him, regardless if it's male or female. And luckily, I was the only one around in the car. He was going through a phase, and by him being different, he lashed out on me, talking about the stuff that I was into, talking about the games that I played, talking about the animes that I watched, talking about everything that I was into, and calling me certain things and degrading myself and calling me overweight and just making me feel as if I didn't matter. And it went to the point where it really drew me to suicide. It really broke me at that point. And I told him about this. I told him, you remember that day when we had that confrontation? Well, I can't say confrontation, but because I didn't say anything. I couldn't say anything to him because it would just throw more napalm in the fire. And he said he didn't remember, but I can tell by the way how he was interacting with me, it changed. And he knew that by my mom dying, he knew that he should try to at least show that he cared. So he did for a short little while. And that short little while gave me the energy I needed for me to boost up my channel. It took a big toll of us. And I figured if I'm going to get my channel back and booming, I got to, I'm sorry, I'm so freaking excited my game came in today. But we can all agree that last year was bad, right? Last year like took a toll out of us. So y'all can be on my side on that, right? Exactly. So, things is working out pretty fine now. I got my equipment all set up and stuff. I got all my paperwork filled out and stuff. Like I got everything up and ready. In fact, everything was filled out already last year. It's just I couldn't do it because how crazy my schedule was. But since I changed things up, things are looking great now. And now I'm back. I'm back, baby. I am back and I'm ready to do this. I'm coming in strong. It helped. It helped a lot. He was watching my content. He was not just watching it, but he was being praised with the content that I was watching, to the point where he was actually surprised of how I was talking on camera, saying that I sounded intelligent and like very, very smart. And it kind of like disappointed me because I was telling myself, you know what, he knew me all this time. I felt like if he would have taken time to really know how I was and to know how I really communicate, then this wouldn't be a shocker. Same thing with a lot of other people that I know. That I know. Like a lot of people was telling me, I didn't know you talk like this, but these are people that I see on a daily. And I'm like, do you ever pay attention to what I be trying to tell you? Like, this is how I talk regularly. This is how I really speak. So, I mean, even though everybody else was saying that, like the fact that he was telling me that, a part of me was happy, but at the same time, I was a little bit disappointed because I have to be honest. Part of me was disappointed because he knows me for a very long time. Part of me was not disappointed because he didn't try to know me from the inside out. Every time I try to explain to him the things that was bothering me, or just me expressing myself, then there would be an image problem of him comparing himself to me, saying that this generation is weak, this generation is this, you know, and this and that and the other. And I keep trying to tell him, look, moments like this, you need to accept that people are people. What's weak to you can be easy to can be tough on others. Not everybody is built like you. That's the problem with this generation, is that everybody likes to have a comparison scenario of how people should live their lives, but at the same time, their lives are not really that perfect as well. I feel like if you just sit back and you just acknowledge what people are trying to say or what people are trying to do, you may learn something. I feel like everybody has a learning curve what people can acknowledge. But when you just go and just criticize others, not just by how they're living their lives, but just how young they are and how they are talking or how they're interacting with others, you don't have it all figured out. And that was his main problem. But by him giving me that energy, by him actually recognizing the talent that I had, and by him giving me good praise, it gave me a lot of good energy. It gave me a lot of compassion for me to boost up my content. I'm even beginning to start my artwork all over again. I'm beginning to make a story now called X Trauma. If you guys follow me on my Facebook account and my LinkedIn account, I talked about this, saying that this is a story that I'm planning on making about a kid that went through a traumatic car accident and he has to go through brain surgery. Now he's in a coma, but he doesn't know this. He thinks that the dream, he thinks that the car accident is just a dream. And when he wakes up, he ends up in his girlfriend's house, and he knows that him and his girlfriend broke up. So by him being in a coma, he needs to face everything that's tormenting him in his mind. If he doesn't get over it, then he's going to fail to get over the coma, and that's going to cause him it's going to cause the surgery to fail, which causes him to die. It sounds crazy, but by me drawing it and by me putting it together, you trust me, you guys are gonna like it. If you like my other stories, like The King is Coming and Orchestra, you're gonna definitely like X Trauma. It's gonna come out next year if everything plays out correctly. But this person really did give me a lot of good praise. He was beginning to notice the stuff that I was doing, and it was to the point where I didn't really care about views on my channel. Like I was getting like 100, 200 views at best, but at the same time, like I didn't really care, just as long as he was watching, as long as he was giving me that praise that I needed, for me to give me that energy. I mean, to prove this, when I was sharing my content on like LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Instagram, I was getting like messages and comments on those links of these random foreigners, like these random people telling me like, well, you know, every YouTube beginner knows this. Like there are people that's gonna try to ask you these type of questions, like, hey, look, like, and this is what they was telling me. They was telling me, hey, look, like we noticed that we're looking at your channel and it's good content, but we noticed that your content is not really getting the views that you deserve. If you do this, if you like give me like this much money, then we will boost your content up. And I kept saying no. There were times where I was ignoring the messages, and hell, like there was even times where I was even fed up, and I was actually telling some of the people that kept bugging me, look, I'm not doing this for views. And they was telling me, well, what's the point of you being, like one of them actually said this. They said, like, what's the point of you being on YouTube if you don't care about views? I told them, because this is something that I am not just doing this for myself, but I'm doing this because this is a passion that I love. I don't really care if one person watches it or none. I'm not really that fame hungry when it comes to being noticed. I'm only like that for one person. If this one person watches my content and praises it, then that's all I need. And then I was getting like an LOL, and then that same person was telling me, well, you know, good luck, you know, if you change your mind, let me know. I wasn't all about the views, and honestly, I'm still not. Like, I feel like views is secondary, and I feel like if you are only dedicated with views on your channel, then you're gonna be putting things out on your channel that is gonna degrade your image. That's why, if you guys notice, I don't really tell people to subscribe to my channel. Have y'all noticed that? Like every time I post a video or a skit or maybe like an after school video, even at the end of the video, I never tell people to subscribe or like or share. I never do that, because my intentions on me boosting this content is lied elsewhere. I don't really do that, and I feel like that's cringeworthy. I feel like that's literally nitpicking your fan base just so they could boost your content out there. I feel like if your fans love your content so much, then they would do it. They would rewatch it. But I feel like by me to have my own state of mind of why I'm doing this, I feel like y'all don't really have to do that. Y'all don't, especially if I'm not trying to be that mainstream in the first place. Even if I get paid for my YouTube videos or not. I felt like by this one person that took a long time to recognize the stuff that I was doing, the material that I was doing, was not hurting anybody. It was just something that I loved. He accepted it, and he was beginning to show me love and show me praise. The same praise that my mom was giving me. It was the same, but it wasn't as strong as my mother, because my mom been there for me from start to finish. He's beginning to do this. He just got to this. In fact, there's still a lot about me he doesn't even know. But I still took it. I was still grateful. But then We went through a collision course last week, which derailed my whole vision towards how he was looking at me. Now, one thing about me is that I try to be independent as possible. I try not to rely on people, especially him, because I notice he's one of those people that he will act like he doesn't care to help people, but he will use that ammunition against you in the future when you don't, when he doesn't have things his way. It sounds childish, but we all have childish intentions in each other. It's a part of life, and it's part of what I need to accept. But there was one thing I needed to avoid, because I feel like with this person, I want to act like I didn't need his help, not just because of the backlash, but because I wanted to show to him, I wanted to prove to him that I'm willing to be on my own 2 feet without his type of help. But one moment I did need help. I needed help with something, and he jumped and offered it without me even addressing him that I didn't need it. And that same day when he helped me, just like before, when we was in the car, we had that problem, and that drawing me to the point of depression. It almost happened again last week. He was beginning to degrade my character. He was beginning to say things to me to the point where it was like going back to phase 1. Just talking the same way he was when he was talking to me when I was at a young age. It felt like he was not even acknowledging the stuff that I was doing now to impress him. And all this was for him. I was posting videos left and right. I was posting like 5 or 6 videos a day, having sleepless hours, working my other job just so I can get that praise from him. And it felt like he didn't even appreciate that. He was just telling me the same stuff that he was telling me a long time ago. Like he didn't even recognize the stuff that I was doing now. And it felt like he was only just showing support because my mom died, not because it was the right thing to do or because he was actually recognizing the stuff that I was doing. And it broke me. It really did. It really did break me. It broke me to the point where after that was over, I've gotten to the point where I was beginning to think. And I was thinking to myself, what is the point of me doing all this? If this main person is not recognizing my stuff, and he was only doing it just so he can show a little bit of comfort, just so he can act like he was there. And by him having that anger, when he helped me out in that situation, it showed me what his real intent was, how he really felt. And I learned this. The only way for you to know how people really are is if you have 3 things. If you have your back turned, if they're drunk, or when they're mad. And I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot this whole year, honestly. People say that 2020 was the worst year. But with me, I think this year is the worst one, because now, since I'm beginning to not just get to the point where my content is slowly reaching the pinnacle of mainstream activity, but a lot of people are beginning to show their true intentions towards me. Like a short while ago, I had to stop talking to a few of my so-called good, trustworthy friends because they was talking mess behind my back, and these were the people that was very intertwined with the stuff that I was doing, the stuff that I was saying, the music that I was listening to, and just we had a very good time having get-togethers. But one day when I was not around, which I was around, I've heard they true intention of how I really was towards them. Annoying, played stupid music. What I do doesn't make any sense. And I wasn't mad. At the same time, I was just, I'm lying if I say it didn't bother me. It did bother me. And at that point, I stopped talking to every single one of them. So if you guys are watching this, now y'all understand why I've stopped talking to you for some goddamn good reason. I feel like if somebody's not talking to you, then you should know, then you should go and backtrack if the last day that y'all talked. And that was the last day that we actually talked. You guys thought that I wasn't around, but I was around. And I ended up hearing how y'all really thought about me. But that did not faze me because I know that friends come and go. But this person that gave me this backlash, this ridicule that day last week, I can't say I was depressed. I was very brokenhearted because all this hard work that I was doing. I mean, if you know my content, I was pushing content left and right, and I was doing all that for him. I was doing all that just so he could at least contact me, call me, or at least come and see me and say, look, I seen the stuff that you was posting and it was great. He was saying that, but it wasn't to the point where, even though I was grateful, but he really didn't give me no specific details of what he liked about it other than him saying that it was what I was saying made sense. What I said was very intelligent. He didn't really go that deep into what I was talking about, what the topic was. Would he watch this movie since I gave it a good praise? I felt like he was just doing that because he felt like it was right. But now he really showed me how he really was. And it got me to a guessing course of, should I continue doing this? Because he was the only person that I was doing this for. And it broke my heart to the point where I didn't want to do this anymore. I was actually going to shut down my channel that same day. I was actually going to take down all my material that same day because I was just that lost. And then at the same time, I thought about it. I took a nap and then I went to my other job. And then I was so bothered by the whole situation where when I was working, my manager saw me talking to myself. And it's going to sound crazy, but a lot of people like me that thinks a lot, we do this. And sometimes we rehearse it and we begin to like play it off and we begin to try to visualize what we should do and what we should not do. Sometimes we actually begin to play roles out loud. And sometimes I do this, but I try to do it when no one's around. but I was really bothered. I was really bothered by the situation with the other person, was what I went through with the other person. So the manager saw what I was doing and he asked me, he was like, dude, are you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm really zoned out right now. And he was like, man, you if you need to leave, just go home. Like, because it was actually beginning to scare him. So I went home and I was beginning to, this is the point when I was beginning to feel depressed because I was beginning to get rid of my channel. But I feel like if I do that, that's going to be the point where I begin to be drawn to suicide again. Because one thing about suicidal thoughts is when you get rid of a part of yourself that is keeping you alive. This is my channel. This is what's keeping me alive. This main thing. But I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it to appeal to a person that don't even recognize the stuff that I'm doing. If I get rid of this channel for him, all it's going to do is just kill me from the inside out. Because after I do that, it's not going to give him any type of limelight of why I've done it in the first place. Have I tried talking to him about this other than that day that I mentioned? No, because I feel like people may not understand how you feel unless you are a part of the situation. And if I feel like if I get rid of this channel, it's going to put me into a misery session. And when I'm miserable and when I feel like there's nothing left, then that's when I'm going to be depressed to the point where I feel like I don't want to do anything. And that is going to lead to death. So I called counseling. I took 2 days off work and I called counseling again. And I'm going to have to thank counseling because it doesn't really matter what time you go there, even if it's day or night. I went there like around 2:00 in the morning and they picked me up and I was telling them about the situation. And then they were saying, well, James, if this person really is this way towards you, because they was asking me, they was like, you stopped talking to your friends because they sneak dissed you. So what makes this person so important to you? This person that you was trying to impress. Why don't you just stop talking to him too? And I told him I could, but what if that person is also a member of your family? It's not like he's a friend of mine. He is actually a member of my family. That's the reason why I try to understand his point of view. That's why I try to cut myself out just so I could be in his puzzle, just so I could fit in. And at that point, then now that was when they realized my situation. And as I was busy talking about it, it was more people that was in the session with me that was explaining themselves, but we was all taking turns. And when I was there was this lady, and she had a mask on. It wasn't one of those COVID masks, but it was like a mask, or maybe it was a COVID mask, because everybody have creative masks and stuff. And she was just staring at me, and it wasn't like an uncomfortable stare, but it was like a stare as in like she wanted to like comfort me, and which is what she did. Like as I was explaining my situation, like she just went behind me, and I was like on guard, and I'm like, what's she trying to do? And then she just gave me like she would start rubbing my shoulders, and then she just started giving me a great massage, and it was like a weird massage, and she was doing it for a while. And I don't think she speak English, because I was talking to her and I was trying to ask her name. She didn't say a word to me. And after that, I felt a lot better. I really felt a lot better explaining myself. And then the counselor told me, like, maybe you should explain this on your channel. Maybe you should talk about this on your channel, let the fans know how you really feel. And I was like, you're right. Because I feel like if I tell this person the situation again, because this is how this person is, he's not going to change. So the moral of this whole thing, right? Same thing with my friends dissing me behind my back. Same thing with my ex leaving me when I was going through the phase of getting over my mom's death, and now this situation. This is all about an issue of mine that I need to address. I have a very bad judge of character. I do. I mean, I really do have a bad judge of character, but this is actually normal for people who like to express themselves towards a lot of people that may not have the same content as us. We're gonna go through collision courses like this, and with me, this was just not a collision course to me, but this was just me just seeing, like, me having another side of the coin of me understanding what am I doing this for. And I'm gonna have to apologize to you guys and to my fan base, because I'm gonna have to be bluntly honest. I was actually ignoring you guys. I was taking out feedback, but I wasn't really gravitating to it to the point where I needed to do this. I was so focused on trying to appeal to this other person to the point where y'all opinions was secondary. And I deeply apologize for that. It's like this term where, like, a female dates a guy and the guy ain't shit, but there's good friends trying to give her advice and trying to give her guidance, and she listens, but she's not feeling it because she only loves that guy that she's with. That's how I felt. And but instead of it being too late, I had to address it quickly. I had to pick my mind up quickly. I was at the point when I was very heartbroken about the situation, and I haven't felt this heartbroken since my mom died, where a part of me left my soul when my mom left. And another time when me and this other person went to this point when we was in a car, and he was just really downing me, really butchering my personality, really just tearing me inside out verbally. And that same part that happened last week almost happened again, to the point where I was beginning to feel vulnerable. And thanks to counseling, it snapped me out of it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let it get to this point. I'm not going to let it, because my mom is not here. My mom is gone. So at this point, I need to build the strength to make the right decisions. I cannot have negative people around me, because this is going to happen. I need to listen to the people who has an open ear, and I need to express myself to people who are willing to accept the differences of people's personalities. When people are trying to be people and they don't understand how life really works, you're gonna go through these things. By me that understands how life works, my problem was I was opening up to the people that don't really understand me or don't try to understand me. But by me going through this collision course, even though it partially broke me, I fixed myself immediately. And at the same time, I need to think. is this a person I need to cut off completely? Because I don't want to do that. I've cut off members of my family before. I have, and I still am, because I'm at the age now where I need to look. And I learned this. People say that family is important, but family can be the most loving, and at the same time, it can also be the most toxic, or one or the other. No family is perfect, and there's a reason why they say that. So, I'm just letting you guys know where I'm at this point and what I'm going through, and why my content is not coming out right now is because I'm fine now. I'm fine now. I'm doing okay. I'm slowly picking myself up because there's still a few things I need to fix. But when it comes to me getting to that same devoted energy when I was boosting content out, I need to find that drive again, because that drive and that reason why I was doing that is now gone. I just realized that this person is not gonna give me the recognition that I deserve. So I need to build myself to the point where I have to be selfish enough to do it for my own benefit and to appeal to you guys only. That's it. I do have friends, but at the same time, they're not perfect either. They have their own life. So at this point, I need to find myself again. I need to build the strength that I need to give you guys what you need. And don't worry, next video I post is going to be a review. It may be tonight, it may be tomorrow, or maybe this week. We'll have to just see. But other than that, that's all I have to say. I'm sorry if I got you guys worried about me and stuff. Don't worry, I'm doing pretty fine. Well, now I am. And as for the person that I mentioned, because he might be watching this, a little tip of advice from you, because I know you might be watching this now. At this point, you might watch this. You always wonder, and you always tell me, what problems do I have? What problems can I have that can be that can bother me that much? What kind of problems am I facing that can really, that can really get you into a depressing state? Because this generation is so weak. I guess it's hard to tell what the problem is if you're the main one, isn't it? You have a good day.